On today's EMJ PGA podcast, me and Ben speedily review the Valero Texas Open, where JJ Spaun clinched victory ahead of Matt Wallace and company to pick up his second win at that event in his career. We also listen to your response to our Masters Champions dinner menus and play a game of Masters-themed Would You Rather. As always, this podcast does contain explicit language, but we hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome back to the EMJ PGA podcast. This is episode 20. We are now into twos when it comes to writing down names for this podcast. I'm excited to write down a number two for the next few weeks in regards to how many podcasts we've done. We are motoring through these podcasts, and it is very, very importantly this week, Masters Week. We are getting into the spirit of things, all things Masters, today included. Okay, this is not going to be your typical review and preview podcast. Yes, we're going to do a bit of reviewing. We did have the Valero Texas Open to cover, and we will cover that for you guys. But we will also do a little bit more Masters trivia. On that note, actually, thank you to all of you who interacted and just watched our last podcast, the late podcast for last week. The viewer and listener count seemed to take a bit of a spike, which was fantastic, and I'm glad that you guys and girls out there all enjoyed us talking a little bit more about Augusta, and we will be doing more of that today with our esteemed co-host Ben Hartshorn, who is to my right. Ben Hartshorn, welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to even Masters Week. How you feeling?
Thank you very much. Yeah, feeling very excited. This is a week we've been waiting for, the biggest week of the year, golfing wise, and yeah, absolutely buzzing. Can't wait to get stuck into it, and looking forward to the weekend coming next week. So yeah.
We will keep you up to date and in tune with our plans for the weekend. We've got some nice content coming your way, both all the way up to the Masters, and then hopefully some live content coming your way over the weekend, and we will talk more about that in tomorrow's podcast for you guys, because we're going to get our two podcasts out before the golf begins. Really, we don't want you having to go out of your way listening to us when the Masters has kicked off, so we are going to relay our schedule a little bit for you. We're going to make a podcast for you, the one that you're listening to now, Tuesday, and then we are also going to have our massive Masters preview podcast coming out on Wednesday, which will be tomorrow again for you guys, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. As we mentioned, we've got a little bit of golf to talk about, and we're going to jump straight into it. We're not going to keep you guys any longer. We're going to jump straight into it because we had the Valero Texas Open this weekend, and it kind of felt a little bit like a going through the motions tournament. Obviously a week before the Masters. We said last week that, or at least I said that I was quite impressed with the field and the field strength, and that proved to be the case. We saw a big name, or I mean, Ben might disagree with me here. We've had this debate before, but I'd say a big-ish name pick up the win. But we've also had some big names in contention there. It didn't feel like it was a tournament where we were just ticking off a box and maybe not having the most entertaining finish. We got an entertaining finish, and JJ Spaun picks up the Valero Texas Open, and fair play to him. Funnily enough, and we didn't mention this last time, and we should have done, he didn't even come up in our selections, but he is now a two-time winner of the Valero Texas Open, and he sandwiched a US Open victory last year in between two Valero Texas Open titles. So fair play to JJ Spaun, and I'm going to pass this over to my co-host Ben Hartshorn, because those of you keen fans of the podcast, JJ Spawn's been a man on Ben's lips for literally since day one. He's gone through some tough times recently, but he's come out the other side with a victory, hot into the Masters. Ben, your man JJ Spaun picks up the victory.
Yeah, JJ Spaun, a great victory. Again, he didn't really heat up his Sunday till late on yesterday. But a very, very solid player. And yeah, he'd been through a tough time. I mean, not really. I mean, he won the US Open, and then played unbelievable, especially in the final day at the Ryder Cup, and it was one of US's only bright sparks. again, not really being on the leaderboard much this year, sort of getting into the year. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if he's knocking on the door of another major. He obviously has that belief and that confidence in himself to go and win things. And that was sort of evident yesterday when he needed to pull out a birdie and a great shot into the par 3 16th. He did so and then hit it close on the short par 4 17th to get the job done. So a great week, a great way to finish. And someone who, yeah, who's obviously just fancies himself again. Yeah, a little bit of a more boring player for you guys to see, but like a really good golfer, and someone from more humble beginnings. So yeah, absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It was Caddy's birthday, which we saw sort of
Mm.
at the end of proceedings. There, he sort of said happy birthday to his caddy, which was nice and wholesome. So fair play to JJ Sport. Technically, there's some interesting things about his golf swing and things that I like, and I think that things a lot of you out there should like. I mean, the first thing about JJ Sport, and me and Ben have had a round of golf today, and we mentioned this. But we mentioned that. I mean, the last couple of Valero Texas Open winners have been short American guys who
Mm.
seemingly don't hit the ball very far. That would be the assumption, but JJ Spawn slings it out there. I stood behind him at the Scottish Open last year, and I was actually almost stunned with by how sort of quick the ball speed was that he was able to generate. I sort of saw him and he wasn't having a good week then when I saw him, but I was quite stunned with the sort of speed that that he was able to create, and that's really really interesting. Again, you've got to take from that he must have really really strong lower body muscles. He must have a really really strong core to be able to rotate and generate that club head speed. Because on top of that, he plays the pull cut, which is the on trend thing at the moment, and I feel like it's a very repeatable shot for you amateurs and maybe fellow pros to even have to turn to or want to turn to. Um, because again, typically you'd see that cut, spin the ball up a little bit more, higher RPM on the backspin, reduce carry distance and be a problem, but not for JJ Spawn. He hits a very low, powerful, punchy pull cut, and it works for him. It hasn't been working of late, as you said. He sort of had a iffy time, but not really. He's got back to winning ways. Um, the shot into 16 was fantastic. 5-iron straight back into wind, puts it to 4 feet. Absolutely fantastic. And then, as you said, the drive on 17. Which of those was the more impressive shot to you? The shot into 16 or the shot into 17?
Uh, Seeing what I saw after, I saw quite a lot of guys go on 17, go close on 17, and they were saying like the score on average was going to be lower on 17 than it was on like the 16th or one of the other par threes, which I thought was an amazing stat. So I actually think the shot into 16 was better. That was a tough hole, and people were going all over the place, especially going long. They go long and left with there. I saw a load of them go, and he stiffed it, absolutely stiffed it, especially, and he made a bogey on 15. So yeah, I think that was slightly more impressive. Uh, but I think holding the putt on 17 was also very impressive as well because he wasn't dead. To go and hold that and then take
Yeah.
the lead was as impressive.
Yeah, nice segue on. He's one of the few lab putter users, which
Mm.
is interesting because obviously the amount of PR and hype that lab putters have got over the last 12 months or so. It's interesting, and I saw a post about this. It's interesting that you don't see much of a correlation towards the elite level, and he is one of the lab putter users out there on tour. There's maybe only a handful of them, but he is one of them again. And I feel like not that I play the lab putter necessarily, but I do feel like maybe in the next year or so it kind of feels like it'll be a bit delayed, but I envisage a world where we see a lot more lab putters on tour, that emphasis on lack of face rotation when it comes to putting technology. I feel like that's going to be something that you'll see a lot of top players turn to. And JJ Spawn, obviously elite putter, as again, okay, he doesn't hit the ball ridiculously far, he doesn't hit it short as we just said, but you're going to have to rely on your short game in moments like that, like he did for the US Open victory last year. And he chooses the lab putter to be able to do that. Fair play to JJ Spawn. And I mean, again, when you win a tournament like that, he's going to be on our lips going into Masters weekend for good reason. He's playing good golf. He might have turned a corner. Okay, it might be a flash in the pan, but he should be on your lips regarding maybe a bit of an outside chance for the Masters this week. So we'll look out for JJ Spawn. Other people who were in the mix, contenders in and around the championship here in Texas. Matt Wallace flying the flag for us Englishmen. got on the heater on round three. There's no other way to say it, and he might be in the reckoning for our Heater of the Week award in just a moment's time. But Matt Wallace said it's some of the best golf he's ever played the last two rounds, and especially on Sunday coming down the stretch. Got a bit of luck with a little short shot from around the green towards the end of his round there, which looked like it was racing by and would have probably put an end to his chances. But that went in, which was fantastic, and he was ridiculously clutch from around 15 foot in those last few holes, and that's what you've obviously got to be to win a tournament at that level. Matt Wallace. Again, like, do we think that he can maybe pick up a couple of wins, maybe on DP, maybe PJ Tour this year? What do you reckon to Matt Wallace?
Matt Wallace, yeah, I mean, such a good, great guy. He seems a good player. Yeah, I mean that heater he had on Saturday was proper, like 8 under par. That's a tough course. Only Spawn went 5 under on Sunday. I know it was raining on Sunday, but Matt Wallace went 4 under
Yeah,
and finished with three birdies. So yeah, unbelievably clutch. I mean, he was so desperate to get the Ryder Cup last year. If you remember, he won the European Masters up in the high Alps, and he was obviously very keen on
yeah.
the Ryder Cup. Didn't get anywhere near the Ryder Cup. I mean, the Ryder Cup team didn't change at all, and I'm sure he'll be trying again for the next one in 2 years. But yeah, to be up there in the PJ Tour event was fantastic, and yeah, I'd like to see if he can pick something up. But yeah, I mean, shame for him not to win. But yeah, he must take a lot of confidence from this week.
Yeah, yeah, he should do. He should do, and I think he should definitely be a name to look out for. As we know, when the tour goes to Switzerland in Crans du Mer, um,
Mm,
just bet your house on Matt Wallace. Bet or I shouldn't say a house, bet a chalet on Matt
mm.
Wallace because he'll be right up there, and he just loves it round that golf course, which is a fantastic place to love it round. It's very very pretty indeed. Rob McIntyre almost got on the heater, last minute heater, but just sort of stalled by a bogey on 15, sort of stopped him from getting in and around it. Um, I mean, what is it with Bob McIntyre coming up 18 to try and win a tournament and just absolutely flailing one massive? Well, for him, it's pulling one over to his right hand side, but he hit one from absolutely miles right on 18 there, and couldn't quite get the birdie to join Spawn in the playoff. But Bob McIntyre showing good signs, and he could be someone that people need to maybe look at next this week. I say next week, this week even, because it is typically, I mean, again, there's only been a couple of lefties, but it's a course for lefties, Augusta, and you've got to be looking at Bob McIntyre. And on top of that, he's playing some good golf. Thoughts on Bob McIntyre?
Yeah, Bob McIntyre. Yeah, he seems to be. This is like a third time because he did it. He did it at Players, didn't he? He was there on the final day, and he couldn't quite get it done. He seems to go on a heater late on. Not really a heater yesterday. He made two bogeys in the back nine. It was a tough golf course. An eagle 17 to give himself a chance, and then 18 was playing tough as well. So yeah, I agree. I've been thinking about him this weekend for this week for the Masters. I think he's a good golfer who can go low, and I think he can place himself around Augusta very well. And if you're telling me lefties do well there, because the way he's set up, I think yeah he could be something this week.
Yeah, yeah, I think definitely Bob McIntyre is going to be a name on people's lips. And we will look forward to seeing how he gets on round there. Again, you see, I don't see him as someone who's just going to lay down and just take a miscut and get overruled
Mm,
by it. He would have been to Augusta a couple of times now. I feel like he's set for a
mm.
good weekend coming up. We might speak about him more tomorrow. Okay. Another name up there, Andrew Putnam, who again could have easily joined Spawn, but again it just shows how difficult it is down the stretch. He went three putt bogey on 16, made a hash of it on 18, so it doesn't really look like he was anywhere near when it came to it. But actually, when it was all said and done with 6 holes to go, Andrew Putnam was a name who could have joined. And again, you sometimes look at this and go, okay, this is what separates the names that you see all the time winning tournaments from the names that you sometimes think, oh, I've never seen them before. They're always fifth, sixth, whatnot.
Mm.
Make a living on tour. They can sit there all day picking up hundreds of thousands of pounds, but we never hear about names like Andrew Putnam because of those moments like that. Three putt bogey on his, what would that be, the 70th hole of his golf tournament. And then Again, bogey on 18, which would have added to the amount of money. Unfortunately, he would have lost. Having said that, I've just killed Andrew Putnam there. Solid week for him. Again, you can look at it both ways. You can look at it the
Mm.
frustrating way, glass half empty. Okay, this is why these players never reach it to the top. But then you could obviously have got to spin it the other way and go, okay, he'll be picking up a nice paycheck for this week's work. And yeah, wasn't quite there for Andrew Putnam coming down the stretch. Okay, other names that were in the mix there, and I feel like we might touch on a couple of these, but we've obviously got a couple of big names to talk about, and then well, one big name to talk about, and then on to our predictions from last week, because I just want to make a note about the picks. I feel like I'm taking a lack of accountability for my shocking picks recently. We'll come on to that in just a moment, but Ludwig Aberg was leading at one point. For a few minutes, and that was the few minutes where again I was checking in, checking out of the golf, and saw Aberg was on top. And again, you see he's on top, and you kind of just take it as a token. Oh wow, Aberg's on top, and it's never is he going to close this out. It's just he's on top. Let's see how long it lasts. And lo and behold, it didn't last that long. He chipped in a couple of times early on in his final round. And his putter went stone cold, and that was highlighted by the complete horseshoe on 17. I don't know if you saw that horseshoe on 17. I did feel a little bit bad for him, but yeah, I mean when it rains it pours, in a negative way for Ludwig Aberg, because people are backing him for the Masters next week. I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole, and he's one of my favourite players. What are your thoughts on Ludwig?
I love the yeah. So we're going to discuss him today. Interesting. He went, yeah, made two birdies early on, as you just spoke up, but then three bogeys after that. Yeah, weird. He just seems to not be able to win or give that much of a fuck on a Sunday. He did make two birdies to finish, and again, obviously, yeah, he lipped out on 17 after a good drive, which would have given him a chance. But I thought this sort of thing gets what he deserves with three bogeys in the middle and not really doing anything, and then like whenever he makes a mistake, just like laughing and yeah, just laughing it off, and then going on to the next hole to make another mistake. So it's just like, well, I don't know. So, but I totally agree with you. Like I saw Aberg up there, and you're like, oh, well done, Aberg, but he ain't gonna win. He's not someone that we're gonna get accustomed to winning. This is like the third time this season he's done this, and yeah, I mean, next week he's always played well at the Masters, but finished really weakly. So I don't. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Aberg. But again, he should be. He should have won this season so far.
Is Ludwig Aberg going to be one of these players who, yeah, again, and this was the whole thing with Tony Finau. It's like, oh, when he wins,
Mm.
it's going to be a big one, and it was one of the FedEx Cup playoff events that I think broke his duck, and we were all just a bit like, it was just when the FedEx Cup was going through a right weird stage of transition where no one really cared about those events, and he ended up winning that, and then forgot about him again. But is he going to be one of those players that just? I know he's won the Genesis and he's won in Switzerland as well on the DP World Tour. But is he going to be one of these players that we just think can't win, can't win, can't win, and then he just picks up a massive event, or is it going to be one of these slow burning, or build up your confidence, pick up a couple of wins on PGA Tour, and then get it done on a big one, maybe even a few wins on PGA Tour, mess it up in a couple of majors again, and then come back and finally get one done? Which one do you think it's going to be of the two?
I think he's like his mate Hovland, who's gone a bit quiet now. Who just for years been saying when's he going to win a major, when's he going to major. Hovland actually has picked up PGA Tour events, and he won the FedEx. And in 23, Hovland was unbelievable. He was on fire, but he never picked up a major. So he's doing more than Aberg's done. But I don't doubt Aberg won't win more PGA Tour events. I think he will slowly just pick up more PGA Tour events, and I think he will win major.
Yeah.
Um, but he is like the most robotic, perfect, like ideal golfer. So surely he has to do well. But then I look at someone like Adam Scott, who was probably the Aberg back in the day of like the most perfect swing. He's only got one major. So is it upstairs what's lacking for Aberg, and for someone like Adam Scott, I would say it is. So yeah, I think he will win a major, but I think it'll take some time.
Obviously this is one round within a week where he's obviously had a solid week there again, Aberg. But one of the few players who doesn't play the mallet putter, still plays the
Mm,
blade. And again, good little conversation this, okay? But now it's something like 90% of the PGA Tour play the mallet and the mallet head putters, okay? But putting stats now are not any better than they were 20 years ago, where it was almost the complete opposite, where 90% of the tour play the blade. So
mm.
has putting technology improved, if the stats don't back it up? And why has everybody gone to a mallet? It must be something in the feel, and it must be something in um, the consistency of the start line. And again, off centre strikes, face rotation, these things all play into it. This is again why I'm surprised that Lab hasn't really cottoned on or caught on at the top level. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Aberg switch to a blade. It would probably take away from his nonchalance a little bit because I just love the nonchalance nature of the blade. But as we discussed last
Mm.
week, can you be too nonchalant? Do you reckon 12 months time? Let's do a random bet: blade or no blade for Aberg?
Uh, yeah, I totally agree. No blade. I think he'll go back to the Malik 'cause he's punt. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I couldn't. So Sheffers did it, didn't he? McElroy's done it. They've all done it.
Yeah, be interesting. Be interesting to see
Mm.
if we see Aberg rocking the blade, and maybe that can transition him to more PGA Tour victories. Coming on to our picks from last week, we're going to touch on our picks from last week. My pick was awful. Russell Henley was really confident as well, which is the worst thing about it. I was really, really confident, but then as soon as I saw him tee it up, and I'm pretty sure he shot one under par for his first round, and I think he followed it up with a level par round two to miss the cut. I thought, what an idiot I was, because I haven't really seen Russell Henley that up there that much. I was just going off what he was doing maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and his form around that golf course 2 or 3 years ago. It doesn't matter what you did around that golf course 2, 3 years ago necessarily. It matters what you're doing right now, and that's something that people should all be thinking about as we come into Masters Week. Is don't look at necessarily what players have done maybe 4 or 5 years ago around this golf course. Take sprinkle in a little bit of what they're doing now. You want a hot hand coming into
Mm.
big tournaments, especially if you're putting a little bit of money on the line. So that's my pick. You picked Ryo Hisatsune, who again, very similar to Aberg, was up there for quite a lot of the week. He was always a couple of shots off the pace, maybe one shot max off the pace, but he was up there and he had a chance and he couldn't find the heater. He's the complete opposite of Aberg. His putters always seems to be hot, but tee to green is where he sometimes does some questionable things. But Rio Hisatsune just couldn't quite get on the heater to get you over the line for your first correct prediction.
No, disappointed. I was looking all week, sort of keeping an eye on him. He went 4 under first round, 4 under, 5 under. So just solid rounds. Even on Saturday, he made a double on 15, then followed with two birdies to get back to sort of was 2 shots off going into the final day. But then again, like all my picks on the final day this season, I probably had 4 or 5. I think about three or four, we'll say, who have gone into a Sunday within, let's say, within 3 shots, and he came in with an even par, so which is about right. With load of bogeys, a few birdies, nothing on the back nine, and I watched him for the back nine yesterday, and his putter, which is meant to be hard, went unbelievably cold. He missed he missed so many putts on the back nine. Not like necessarily short, but putts that you need to go in for when you want to win a tournament. So anyway, he's had a great season. His Satune, but disappointing not to get me one over the line. But we will go again, and yeah, we will go again for next week. So
Maybe this is your moment with the correct Masters
mm,
predictions. We've got to get our
yeah.
thinking hats on and make a correct prediction because this is the one where people, hopefully, all you guys flooding in for Masters Week are keen to hear about what me and Ben
Mm.
are going to do and predict, and that might play into who you predict come Wednesday. Okay then. Good little recap for the Texas Open. Not too much time spent. Good 20 minutes or so talking about all things Texas Open. It was enjoyable, and off the back of this, obviously we've got the Heritage coming up. I'm a massive fan of the Heritage. It doesn't slow down, but yeah, we've had a nice little run of PJ Tour events on the way up to the Masters. So yeah, hopefully the quality of events keeps coming, even though you see that little bit of a dip. Hopefully the quality of events stays nice and high, and we have nice, entertaining golf tournaments to talk to you guys about. Okay, then, as always, after all of our reviews of the PGA Tour and other tours, it is, of course, time for our two famed awards, and we're going to rack up a little pre-Masters tally of what's been going on in regards to both our favourite awards, and the first of which is, of course, the Heater of the Week. I'm so keen for this. Heater of the week.
Heater of the week.
Heater of the week.
Heater of the week.
Around 260.
He's kind of on a heater.
A 9 under par Sunday round 63.
One of my greatest heaters.
4 birdies in a row, 12 through 15, and then another one on 17 to seal the deal. He's bogey free, 63.
In terms of the heat of the heater,
62, 10 under par. You are my heater of the week for this week. And we are back with another heater of the week. We've got to be into the teens now when it comes to giving out heaters of the week. I enjoy doing it, and I always like to just give credit to people who got on the heater. We played a bit of golf today. Ben, you got on a temporary heater today?
Yeah, a couple of holes. Well, yeah, 10 birdie, 11 bogey, 12 birdie. So if I had made a par on 11, I would have said that was a heater. And then I made like 5 pars after it till 17. So I'd say for me it was a heater. Shame I didn't par 11. But I would say, yeah, like a
Yeah.
sort of a like a warming up, not a heater, but like a churner or a I don't know, I can't know how to describe it. But yeah, no, like small heater for
Yeah.
me today.
Small heater is always good. I always like to appreciate the heaters, and that's what we do here on Heater of the Week. We give out the awards of the hottest player on the PGA Tour, not appearance, just golf. How hot you were with your stick, you know. And the hottest player this week, okay, I will reveal in a moment because we spoke about Matt Wallace a little bit earlier, and I feel like I'm robbing him out of this award. It feels like a little bit of a cheap shot award. This when the heater when the heater gets, and I'm not saying it's too hot. I mean, obviously, when we get a scalding heater, you can't really say, "Oh, it was too hot and I didn't pick it." But like, there was something about the heater. There was something about like there was a couple of eagles in there for Matt Wallace in his 8 under par round on Saturday, 64. A couple of eagles in there, bogey free, which I love. I love a blemish free heater. But there was just it wasn't screaming to me like true heater of the week. Heater of the week and the heater is when I see stretches of golf that are
Mm,
flawless, that are hot.
mm.
The guy can't miss. He's draining it from everywhere. He's getting up and down from everywhere. He's holding it from off the green potentially. Um, and so I'm going to pivot away from Matt Wallace. And I feel bad for doing it because the true heater and the definition of the heater was highlighted by the PGA Tour admin this week because there was another Englishman who got on the heater on Saturday, and that was someone who I've been very, very impressed with. We haven't spoke about him as much as we maybe could have on this podcast, but I'm giving my heater of the week to Marco Penge for his finish to Saturday's round, where he finished with 6 straight birdies, 13 through 18. Yeah, okay, you've got a couple of so-called gimme holes on 17, and a
Oh.
couple of short ones in there as well. But still, you've got to get on the heater. Doesn't matter. I mean, it can't be every single hole is sort of the hardest hole you ever played. Stroke index 1 sort of vibe. There's got to be some stroke index 18s in there, and Marco Penge took advantage of that, in my opinion. So I'm giving him his heater of the week for 6 straight birdies to finish his Saturday. Well done to Marco Penge, and I reckon it won't be long before we see him picking up a PGA Tour win based off how he's acclimatized so far. So well done to Marco Penge. The other award, obviously, that we give out on a weekly basis is the flop of the week, and sometimes the more entertaining award. Ben gets to rip into whoever he wants in the world of golf, and it might even be like the weather. It might even be the workers behind the scenes at the golf tournament. And we've had a couple of instances where they've deserved flop of the week and they've received flop of the week. If you stick your neck out, it might get chopped off, and Ben's ready to do some chopping here now. Ben,
Mm.
who's your flop of the week?
Difficult this week. I think I've said that every week. But no, not many stinky scores this week coming in. Again, I see some high scores. I see some plus numbers yesterday coming in. It was a tough day yesterday. Had the Velotex Open at TPC Louisiana. But yeah, I mean, I go to the bottom of the leaderboard just for some honorable mentions. KH Lee shot a 10 over 2 rounds. Not the worst. Patrick Rogers struggling again, +9. Joel But Damon doing some Damon things, just being average. Other than that, no one struggled that much, which is annoying. So which leads me to sort of going down different avenues. And again, it's about the course. Again, at the Waste Management Open, a worker got flop of the week for banging a chair. The weather, the courses, all sorts of had flop of the week. But in sort of spite of what I received as flop of the week, if you remember a few weeks ago from my friend Ollie Barrett and a co-host for that week. So I'm going to throw it back at him because me and Ollie Barrett played in again the first medal competition of the year this year on Sunday, which was yesterday when we're recording this podcast. It was the April monthly medal up at Church Train Golf Club, and Ollie Barrett's been on and I say like been on a form of heater heading into this year. Again, a golfer fairly new to it, but he is off sort of 12 handicap. He smashes the ball, hits the ball way past me. He is a natural sportsman. He's very good. And he gave me flop of the week in a performance in our threesome event, which I thought I deserved. But I mean, I didn't stink the place out. Where yesterday, I think he fully deserved flop of the week. He started his round at Stretton. Tough start, Church Stretton, if you know Church Stretton, with 3 double bogeys. He then followed up with 3 more bogeys to open his front 9 with, I think he opened it with sort of 10 or 11 over. Came back in with a sort of an 8. He might have even be 12, 13 over front 9. Came back in with sort of a 4 or 5 back 9. Shot 19 over. It's 85 at Stretton. So I just think it's a flop of the week performance. Someone who's on such a heat. I'm going to knock him down a touch. Again, and again, the one reason for his flop was again his short stick, which he putted. I think he could have genuinely shaved 12 shots easily, almost 12 shots within 5 feet. He could have shaved yesterday. So yeah, definitely flop of the week, and he won't mind being flop of the week this week. Again, so yeah, fair play to Barrett for turning up and accepting the flop of the week award, but definitely to Ollie Barrett.
Yeah, it's 1 each between you two now. Ben and Ollie Barrett both picking up 1 flop of the week award each. After the Masters, it's something that we should do is we're going to open up flop of the week wider community. Let's get some entries. Let's get some scorecards from your weekly medals, your monthly medals, and any shocking scores. And do you know what? Let's out bad golf, okay? Because I hate golf where like someone's just blatantly given up and decided to just come in, and then like when they're kind of like bragging about it, like it was awful today. I mean, like especially in a medal sort of tournament, there's a good chance that you're being so bad that you're probably holding up the group behind you. And like, if you're not going to take it that seriously, obviously, yeah, it's your own money. You've probably paid a couple of quid in the pro shop to enter. But if you're not going to take it that seriously, I wouldn't say walk in, but just don't tee it up. Like you've got to be prepared for all sort of outcomes. And like, I'd rather you get slightly annoyed, as long as you're not maybe throwing and snapping clubs. I'd rather you get slightly annoyed and try and focus than just kind of like this. I'm not saying Barrett did this, by the way, but like we want to sort of out people. We want to sort of out people who go out just deliberately mess it up and then basically come in and laugh about it afterwards. I just don't understand that concept. So what we will say is if you see anybody with a howling score at your golf club, take a picture of it. And basically we will out them and we will include their names as well, because you can't be teeing it up on a sort of weekly or a club competition and just playing awful and not trying. And it's sometimes evident when you can see people not trying. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. And Ollie, this is not in the case with Ollie Barrett. He tried, and his temperament's unbelievable. So nothing to do with Ollie Barrett, but we do have someone else who I will be outing when his scorecards start coming in, if he ever puts a scorecard in and can get out of bed in the morning. So, but yeah, I totally agree with that. Again, golf, of course, is a serious, and golf is enjoyed when you're trying and you're concentrating and you're giving it your all, but you're trying to enjoy it at the same time. Don't give me like 50% on a golf course. Give me 100%. And yeah, if you're going to lose your head, I don't mind a head loss up there. At least you care. That's my point.
Yeah, I massively agree. And head loss, like literally, like we discussed last week when it came to nonchalance and stuff like that. Like like that's why I had a mini head loss earlier today. Like one, because I was playing some spacked up stuff and it was doing my head in, but two, like again, like I could almost feel myself giving it the whole like playing shite and then like chuckling to myself about it and then just kind of going, oh well, and then I'm just like, well, hang on a minute, like there isn't an oh well here. Like what am I doing? I'm just spacking it up, like I'm not learning anything, and I'm also just destroying my confidence. So like let's lock the fuck in and stop messing around. And like, I don't mind one of
Mm.
those every now and again. Like, yeah, okay, like we can't be doing it every single time we hit a bad shot, but sometimes like a little bit of a tap on the head as a reminder to yourself to go, hang on, let's sort it out here is can be a good thing. And those people who don't do that and then just decide to just blow the place up and shoot whatever score, like if I see anything sub 20 points in a Stableford, I'm coming for you when it comes to flop of the week. All right, so that I want to I want to open that up post Masters, and we will do that. We'll look forward to doing that. Anyway, speaking of the Masters, we are back on trend. The Masters is only 3 days away. We're looking forward to it. And 3 days away at the time of recording for you guys. It's only 2 days away. So we are super, super excited. Last podcast, we did our Champions Dinner menus, and that probably was the thing that attracted a lot of attention to last podcast, and we were excited by that. So thank you to all of you who have listened to the podcast that was out last Thursday. And we hope that you're still here for today's podcast. Today's podcast, we're going to give it a little bit of a follow up because we did open it up to you guys and we did say, okay, let's have some responses. Let's get some more Champions Dinner menus in there. Unfortunately, that wasn't massively attended to by you guys. We wanted to see more entries, okay? But we do want to give love to the entries. And Ben made a great point of this earlier. Sometimes, and I've been guilty of this, we've put out things and then we haven't necessarily followed it up with all of your responses. So we're going to make sure that every time that we put something out and we try and include you guys, we read out every single response and we include it in the podcast. No editing, no nothing. If you email us, you will make the podcast, assuming it's legal and what you're saying is somewhat normal, okay? So when it comes to Champions Dinner menus, we have had one response to the podcast last week. I thought we cooked some decent menus. You went quite British. I went kind of British slash Mexican slash American, which are probably three of my favorite cuisines, really, when I think
Yeah.
about it. And you went proper you went proper old school, shithouse English, which is interesting. So just a prediction for this entry here now. What sort of cuisines do you reckon this person will include? Just as a guess before I read it out to you.
Um, because you're asking me that, it's obviously maybe something different. I don't know. I would say they've gone. I would say they've gone Italian. Actually, no, that's a bit whack. No, yeah, let's say
Italian.
they've got Italian, which I was thinking about because I quite like that. And I don't know if anyone's ever done that, gone a bit more Italian, like your pasta and that sort of stuff. And that'd be class. I reckon that would go down well. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to bet Italian, but I'm probably wrong.
It's kind of the thing, isn't it? I mean, this isn't. We'd love to have a partnership with San Carlos. San Carlos, if you're listening to this, let us know, and we'll strike a partnership with you. But that's why you sort of see like your elite sort of sportsmen and celebrities go into restaurants like San Carlos. I always know it's popping in Manchester, San Carlo, and
Mm.
even up in Scotland, like the times where I've been up in Scotland watching the golf, like whether it be North Berwick or little towns like that, when the Open's on that East Lothian coast or has been there, it's always the Italians. It's never like, oh, there's this curry house that we've seen XYZ in. It's always the Italians, which is a fair shout, and I do think that that's why Italian probably would be a good shout in regards to the Champions Dinner. So let's see if this person has included some Italian in there. And I'm kind of seeing a little bit, but let's have a little look. So I will read out this to you. And I also love this entry because there's explanations of why as well. It's not just this. There's been some explanation, okay? So we have had this entry here now. So we've got the starter. Garlic bread with a salsa-like sauce dabbled on top. Not drizzled, dabbled on top. So that's good from him. Not too heavy and has a bit of master's elegance. Reaction to garlic bread and salsa?
I'm not sure about the salsa. Garlic bread sounds nice. It has got the Italian theme, but yeah, not sure about the salsa. Um, sounds decent. Not sure about the dabble either. I'm not sure that's the right word for that. But anyway, we'll pave over that.
We'll go over it. Okay, so we've got the mains here. They say the mains, they've got two options for mains, okay? Hunter's chicken in a cream sauce of long broccoli and maybe some new potatoes. The other option would have been a spicy curry of some sort, with the slight intention of giving some of the big players the shits before the start, but doubled back and thought that would be a tad harsh.
I like the thinking the second option. I think sabotaging. I mean, like famous sabotage. Tottenham in 2007, going for Champions League football, went to West Ham, and that the whole team
Lasagna.
got ill, got ill the night before, and that was, I believe that was sabotage. I think I almost could have been Arsenal who beat us top four. Anyway, random point. Hunter's chicken, not so sure. Creamy sauce. Like it's my thing with the Champions Dinner. Like, what's Tiger gonna like? Is Tiger gonna like that? Is Tiger gonna like my steak pie? I reckon he does. Is Tiger gonna like a spicy curry? No, he's not. He might like Hunter's chicken to be fair, because I know yeah, surely he likes chicken. But yeah, interesting.
There's some there's some protein in there for him, isn't there?
Yeah.
And that's what he likes, an absolute unit tiger.
Yeah.
He'll be looking to get the 1 rep max, and probably hit the biceps and forearms workout.
Yeah.
After his hunter's chicken. So yeah, hunter's chicken, I do think that's viable, absolutely. And then I like this one, dessert. I like the idea of a cold dessert, and a personal favorite, I would have to go with a New York slash raspberry cheesecake with some cream and maybe a couple of chocolate brownie bites. I certainly would enjoy this, which is interesting from the person who suggested it, because they'd certainly enjoy it, which is we're glad to hear that. Um,
Good.
and thinks it covers the basis of things who like their health, of people who like their healthy options, while also giving the Patrick Reeds of the dinner their sugar intake at the end. Thanks.
That's fun. I love that. I agree. Patrick Reed obviously needs his sugar intake. But I know for a fact Tiger likes his desserts. Just to go back to Tiger for no reason at all. Phil Mick used to be a big boy, all gone slim, and that's an issue with today's world. Everyone's just gone really skinny, and everyone gets onto this health movement and fitness, which I totally respect. So actually, I mean, is anyone fat in there? Probably not. Um, but dessert is
Probably not.
important.
No.
And again, if you're going out for a meal and you don't want to have a dessert, I think you need to get yourself checked. I think it's vitally important you have a dessert to finish off the meal. That's always been my point. Like, I always try and have a dessert, and if I don't, like, I'll kick off. So,
Do you know what? That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
mm,
And I'd massively support that. I feel like the dessert's important. Having said that, I went out for a meal on Saturday and didn't have a dessert. Went for the
that's
starter instead.
mm,
But gotta. I'll have that in my mind. I'll have your meal philosophy ringing in my head the next time
good.
I go out for a meal. So we've got to tackle that dessert the next time for sure. Thank you very much to that listener who sent in their Champions Dinner. And I will say about that one as well. That Champions Dinner, because there was a bit of a problem with the YouTube upload. That Champions Dinner came in off the back of the audio version of our podcast. So obviously we plug the YouTube all the time, but before the YouTube version of the podcast went out, that response came in, and there was probably only about 2 or 3 hours between which the launch of the podcast went out and when the
Mm,
YouTube went out as well. So within 2 or 3 hours of the podcast going out, we had that response in. Thank you very much to that listener for emailing in. And as we said just a minute ago, when we open it up to you guys, we will read it out. No more cutting corners, no more ignoring what we've said. We are going to read out every single response that comes from you guys. So if you are listening, if you are watching, let that be a motivation to keep interacting with us, because we do genuinely love to hear from you. Okay, we're still on Masters. We're still on the Masters theme, and me and Ben thought we would have a little bit of a game. Okay, before we come on to our massive preview show, which is going to be tomorrow on your phones, laptops, however you consume your podcast first thing in the morning. We're going to give you something to maybe go to bed with. Tuesday, I like to listen to my podcast when I'm going to sleep. So if you like to fall asleep listening to me and Ben talk all things golf, this is something for you. Okay, complete nothingness, no real professional insight for the next 10 minutes or so. Me and Ben are going to have a game of Masters themed Would You Rather, where we throw some ridiculous concepts at each other that are never going to happen. Well, they might happen if we only we can dream, maybe. And we decide which we would rather, and also give our reasons as to why as well. We're going to do 3 each. We're going to pick each other's brains, where our heads are at. Might be quite similar, but it would be interesting if we disagree a little bit. Ben, are you keen for this game, or would you rather?
Yeah, very keen. I'm just thinking hard about what I'm going to ask you. But this is the sort of stuff that like a lot of friend groups and a lot of people's chat is based around would you rather. So we're going to try and like tap into that sort of thing.
Yeah. If you sat in the pub on Saturday, Friday night, even after another short week of work for all you UK listeners on the bank holiday, um, maybe you can throw a couple of throw a couple of these would you rather questions to your mates at the weekend and see if they get a similar response, just to get your brain ticking just a little bit. Ben, as the co-host, I will let you throw me one first when it comes to would you rather, and then I will throw one back at you, and then maybe give you 2 in a row, so we go alternately. Have you got a would you rather that you're keen to ask me?
Yeah. I mean, some of mine are more like don't use the word like everyone. Some of them are similar to sort of back in like anyway, I'm just gonna ask you one. Would you rather be would you rather lose the Masters like just J Rose in 2025 or Jordan Spieth in 2016? Which one would you rather lose it by? Jordan Spieth bottles it, all the antics on 12 back in that day. Justin Rose last year, like getting on absolute fucking heater, but then losing it in a playoff. Which one would you rather lose? How would you rather lose it by?
Well, well, I mean, again, I'm coming at you a bit there and saying like that. I want to say that's quite an easy one. Is that not an easy one in your head?
No.
That's not an easy one in your head. I'm
No, because
taking J Rose by a million miles.
I just think J Rose has got like all that like hype up, and he's believing he's going to win, and he's done all the work all day to get to that position, and then he loses it right at the death. I think that's more devastating. Jay Speed, I get he's leading into it. I actually think he's tired than you think, and I might be completely wrong, but I just think Justin Rose must be devastated.
Justin Rose must be devastated, but like you're never not gonna be. But I'd rather lose it knowing that I've got beat like by an outrageous shot, or I've got beat by something ridiculous. And McIlroy's win in a lot of aspects, and we can talk about this, and we're likely to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. McIlroy's win was ridiculous in so many ways. So I feel like when you turn the TV back on and you're Jay Rose and you're seeing some of the shots that were hit, like I know this probably doesn't add to it, but in my head it would, where you go, okay, at least this guy's hitting shots that like I probably wouldn't even physically be able to hit in a way to win. Now I know he messed up a couple of times and didn't really take his first bite of the cherry, but I always kind of thought in that moment where Rose got into the playoff, like Rose has done absolutely fantastic to be there, and I kind of appreciate that's your point. But there was never a moment where I thought, oh, this. Well, there was obviously, but there's never a moment where I thought, oh my God, this could be Rose's. Even in the playoff, it got shut down pretty quickly. Whereas Spieth is just that ridiculous of a meltdown, and I feel like you can kind of get your answer by looking at what's happened post that sort of
Mm,
post both of your options. Like Spieth has not recovered since that moment. Like
mm,
not even shown a 2-3 week stretch of being the same player. Rose went on to have a fantastic year, and I feel like again Justin Rose, I see him as this very positive, let's let glass half full sort of guy. So I think it probably says something about both of their mindsets a little bit. But the clue is also in the reaction to the incident, and that wasn't the second time that Justin Rose has lost in the playoff for the Masters as well. That wasn't the first time. It was the second time he's lost in the playoff for the Masters. So I feel like Justin Rose would be one of the most popular winners that there could possibly be come this weekend. But yeah, for me, I'm taking Justin Rose's method of losing. Would you agree with anything I have to say there, or disagree?
I would agree with it. I mean, I would just throw back. Just Jordan Spieth still won the 2017 Open after doing that. So, which I agree with.
Yeah.
I just think my half my point was what you just said. Like he's already lost a playoff, and that must have killed him losing another playoff, especially the age he's at as well. I do probably sort of agree. Probably would rather go with Spieth, but I think I just I think they're both unbelievably devastating, and Rose has had a good season since then. But Spieth had a good season the season after, so it goes hand in hand. But yeah, I think I do
Yeah.
agree with you. Maybe more of a shitter. Would you rather than I thought it was? But yeah.
Okay, that's okay. We've opened it up, okay? Because I'll throw a couple at you now, okay? So my first one, I'm coming in with this, all right? Would you rather only go to Augusta once to play, but never go back, and you have to watch all the Masters on TV, or go there 20 times as a fan to the tournament and never play it?
Um, I'd rather play there once.
Would you?
Yeah, I think that's easier. I think going and watching would be cool 20 times, but you get bored. Like I got bored of the Open after the second
20 times
year.
as a fan, though.
So I was, yeah, but you know you get bored of the Open. You've told me that. So like, yeah, no, playing there once would be the most unbelievable thing ever, and that'd be your memory for life. And only a handful of people on this planet have played there. So I think it'd be that, but it's a
Yeah.
difficult one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but 20 times, you probably witnessed history one of those 20 times. Like one of the most iconic moments in golf,
Uh,
where it was like you're going to play and not make one of the most iconic moments in
no,
golf.
but in your own life, like that is the most iconic moment of your life for someone who loves golf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Difficult,
Yeah.
difficult. But
I
then you
I
sorry when you go to the Masters 20 times, you could be on the wrong hole 20 times and not witness it.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. You grandstand it for the big moments. You try and
Yeah.
grandstand it. Like 20 times I get to sit in the grandstand on Sunday. Um, at least one of those times to see something decent happen, you know. If I'm there for a Tiger
Mm.
Woods 2005 chip-in moment, or if I'm there for some sort of crazy stuff, like McIlroy's shot any of his shots last year, like that would be a good fight. Phil Mickelson 2010 from under the trees. Like crazy moments which I just love to be able to have stood there and actually watch them happen. Like I've been to quite a lot of golf tournaments and I've never seen massive knife edge pivotal shots in person, which is one of those things where I want to try and change that. But yeah, I would probably agree with you, probably, but just about because I would find it really, really difficult to not turn down the chance to go 20 times as a fan to
Yeah.
the tournament. That would be that would be difficult, difficult to turn down. Okay, I'm going to throw another one at you now. The first couple of mine are quite negative, all right, and then we'll finish it off with a positive one. Okay, so would you rather make the cut every time you play the Masters, but you never finish inside the top 20? Okay, so every time you tee it up, you make the cut, right, but you can't get inside that top 20, or miss the cut every time you play, but one time you lose the lead in the final round. So you have the lead in the final round of the Masters and you don't get it done, and then you miss the cut every other time.
That's a very good one. That is a good one. I mean, both equal not winning, so it's hard.
Yeah.
I wonder if I mean I think I'd rather make the cut 20 times because I think the disappointment on losing that lead would be awful. And I think making the cut and just saying I'm a
Mm.
solid player, like I'm a really solid player,
Yeah.
like I'm a Fred
Yeah.
Couples player who just knows what he's doing around Augusta, but like pretty shy to the rest of the time. We're old. I think I'd rather. It's actually so difficult. I think I'd rather be that player. What do you think?
I think I'd take that one too. I think I'd take that one too. The
Mm,
consistency which we're all looking for, aren't we, as players, as golfers, consistency.
mm,
Um,
mm,
so if you know you're going to make the cut every time, and selfishly as well, if you finish inside the top 20, you're just making the cut. You probably get done, and you can get back out to see the end of all the golf tournaments. Um,
mm,
Instead of being a part of it the one time and having to walk up that hill on 18 knowing that you had a chance to win and you didn't quite get it done, and there's probably someone behind you or in front of you in the clubhouse who's at a better score than you. That must be quite tough, and then having to miss the cut every time you play except for that's difficult. So I'd probably lean with you there. Okay, so far no disagreements. Ben, what's your next one?
My next one is sort of might cut deep to some of you out there with some different habits on the course, and this can be said for any golf tournament. But this would be like the ultimate thing. Would you rather win the Masters by cheating, but no one knows you cheated? Only you know you cheated. The cheating can be bad, but you know you've gained an advantage on the golf course to win the Masters, but no one saw and you don't know. Or would you rather win the Masters fair and square? You know you won it fair and square, but the whole world thinks you cheated. Whole world thinks you cheated. You're not getting the credit in the media that you deserve. So everyone looks upon you like that's not a genuine W. But you have to live with but the other side, you have to live with the guilt of cheating to win the Masters. But you won the Masters, and everyone thinks you won the Masters.
Absolutely, the first one for me.
Win, but by cheating. Yeah.
The whole world on me that I've cheated is just going to brainwash me into thinking I've done it anyway.
I agree. I agree, but I feel like I know how people's like subconscious work or like consciousness work. That if you've cheated and everyone like if you have genuinely cheated, like could you live with yourself, especially winning something that big? I don't know. I don't know what I think that would play on my mind and just like eat me up.
Yeah, yeah, but everyone on your back saying that like you didn't win it, like that's a difficult one. That's a
Yeah,
difficult
but you
one. That's
still
a
what? But you
good
did,
one.
but you still want it. I think that's the point. You still want it, and like you got the green jacket, and you know, like consciously, you know, you want it, but everyone sort of thinks you cheated, and you don't quite get the credit, but you
Yeah,
want it still. So it is actually a
yeah.
tough one. That
That is difficult. That is difficult. I'm gonna take the God. God. No, I'm gonna flip my answer actually. I'm gonna flip my answer. I'm gonna flip my answer. I'm gonna flip my answer. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm.
I'm gonna take it properly and then everyone thinks I've cheated. Yeah, I think it's gotta be that one.
Yeah, you get fucking fuming though constantly, but. I think it's that I think it's that one, and I think this can be said to like any sort of golf competition. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know, but I will go for your one just to actually no, I'll disagree. I'll go win by cheating because then actually like you only live for a certain amount of years. Like who actually gives a fuck? So I'll go opposite to you. Who cares
Fair
if you
enough.
cheated?
There we go. First
Yeah,
disagreement. First
yeah.
disagreement. I wonder how you cheated as well. Like that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Mm. I'm saying like
Maybe
cheated.
maybe
I'm saying cheated
go on.
that like cheated like how easy you like you've moved you've improved like something that would make a difference that would make a shot difference like improving your line massively that you probably could do it behind the scenes or like you've gone into the trees and
I
no
mean,
one some out of the camera hasn't seen you and you've put like another ball out your pocket down.
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that. The old Ollie Barrett sort of fake.
Yeah, like constant ball in your
That
pocket ready.
that little one.
Yeah, yeah, but you somehow
No,
done it.
I wouldn't be able. I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to
No,
do that.
no.
I, I'd be able to stomach it if I was in the pine straw and my ball accidentally moved half a rotation and no one
Yeah.
saw it. If it was that, I'm taking the first one. If it's an extreme one, if it's an
Nah.
extreme like I can physically see how I've got an advantage here, I'm taking it. I'm taking my one. So actually, I think it's a bit context dependent, but I think it's a fantastic one.
Mm, that's good. Get you thinking.
It does get you thinking. Let us know if
Yeah.
you're listening to this. Which one would you rather? We're going to put that up on social media because that was a good question from Busty Ben Arts on there. Okay then. You go again for your last one for me, and then I'll hit you with my final.
So, I think, how would you want to win the Masters? Would you want to win it? Would you rather Tiger 97 Masters by 12 strokes ahead? You've dominated the field. You are a level above. You are like being already described as the greatest of all time. You are changing the face of golf. Or would you rather stumble? Would you rather Max stumble? You tried hard to bowl it. You've tried everything to do to not win that tournament, and you've made a birdie finally on the playoff hole. You've won by playoff after a lot of doubts. How would you rather win it?
Good question. Good question. Hmm. Benefits to both, because I feel like Tiger wakes up on the Monday after his win in '97 and thinks like, how fucking easy was that? Did
Mm,
I really like? It's that whole Tyson Fury thing. Like, I wanted to be a heavyweight champion all my life, and then I did it, and then I realized it actually wasn't that impressive.
yeah.
Um, like when you're that good, he probably turns around and goes, Jesus Christ, and he probably gets more adrenaline from his wins in '05, 2019, compared to '97 where he plods it. And then you've got McIlroy, who you sometimes almost feel a bit, as golfers, we're all pessimistic, aren't we? You kind of almost feel a bit of guilt,
Mm,
in the experience I've had of having similar tournaments to that, like McIlroy one, and winning one. And I say experiences, like there's only really been the one time, like kind of do feel like guilty for winning it,
mm,
because there were so many maybe pivot points where you realize that that might not have been yours. And then you can look back and you go, well, did I really earn it? Or did I just get ridiculously lucky? And did the stars all align for me, sort of thing? Like, in a very pessimistic mindset.
mm.
That's interesting. That is a great question, though. I feel like that is a fantastic question. I am going to select. Oh, I am going to select. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take the McElroy one.
Mm,
Because as selfish as it is, I feel like Tigers win '97 very, very, very famous. But I kind of feel like similar to in 2000 at Pebble Beach for Tiger, like the thing that he was most famous for in that was trying to stay bogey free, and it was trying to maintain a lead that had been unprecedented. He was almost battling against previous records, and that's cool. That is cool. But on the day to win the golf tournament, like you want those highlights to be edge of your seat stuff. And when I watch my tournament back after winning it, I want to be able to go, oh my god, like look at this, like sit down and it almost be a movie. Um, I feel like I take the McElroy one. What about you?
yeah, you make good points. Again, I've a bit of an agenda against McIlroy. Nothing personal to McIlroy, just him as a professional golfer. But I think Tiger 97, because I just think you have an absolute stamping point. You have an absolute position in your life where you're like, this was my peak. This was it. This was the best thing I've ever done. This was 4 days where I felt perfect and everything went perfect. And I think it would have helped Tiger to always. He knew his absolute peak after that, and he managed to get there a few other times. Where McIlroy stumbled, yeah, it's a movie. Yeah, it was fantastic in the end. But I do think McIlroy would have some doubts, and he would have a lot more doubts going into the next tournament. Unlike Tiger, for his next 14 majors he won, he knew he could do it. I think McIlroy still has doubts about his own ability and his own mindset. So I would go with Tiger just because it's just the highest peak you could reach in professional golf and probably in professional sport. So I'm going to go Tiger.
You're going to go Tiger. There we go. Another
Mm,
disagreement. Another
mm,
disagreement. But we've had a couple of disagreements now coming into. Yeah, and you make good points. You make good points. I'm sticking with the McElroy one. I don't think I'm going to
mm,
shift off that either. Um, it would be cool to be that much better than your competition, but
yeah,
it's what keeps us alive, isn't it? That adrenaline and whatnot
yeah.
keep kicking in, and I feel like that would be mental to win a golf tournament like that, that big as well. Oh, Jesus Christ, it would be crazy. Okay, my last one is a very, very, very standard one, and it's a one that you see in a lot of golf-related would you rather. So we are going to ask Ben Hartshorn: would he rather win the Masters once, but you cannot win any golf tournament again ever? And that includes your monthly medal. up at Church Stratton, right?
Oh,
But you do get to win the Masters once. Or there's no restriction on wins, but at the top level, you win 10 times on the PGA Tour, and it includes one other major. You don't get more than one other major, but you win 10 times on the PGA Tour and one other major.
um, yeah. I mean, if you'd said like not a major, but 10 PGA Tour wins and maybe more on other tours, I think that's tough. I think that major helps. I mean, yeah, PGA Championship if it was that, but I think winning a US Open or an Open would be massive. To be fair, I think I do think there's a lot of aura winning a US Open, but yeah, no, I will go 10 PGA Tours and a major. A Masters would obviously be awesome, but I think having those wins, guaranteeing yourself into the majors every year, and that money would be mental. So I will go for that with my brain. But it is a tough one. It is a tough one, but I think I'll go for that.
Yeah, but the Masters, you get to go and do every Champions Dinner with Tiger every year.
That's a good point. That's good. But at the Open they do a Champions Dinner as well, but Tiger will still be out. They
They
do
do
something
do
similar.
that.
So if it was the Open, you still get
Yeah,
that.
but
But
you
yeah,
can't
I would know Tiger anyway because I'd win
you
another
can't
major.
guarantee.
It is
You
difficult,
can't
but
just but you go and pick up a dog.
yeah. No, I'm going for my first option. What are you going to go for?
You go for your first option. Okay, okay. It's another good thinker. It's another good thinker. I'm not actually going to answer that. I'm going to leave it to you guys. What do you reckon? What would you rather? Win the Masters once but no tournaments again ever, or 10 times on the PGA Tour, including one other major, and it's randomized. You have no control over which one it's going to be. You're obviously going to play to the best of your ability in all of them, and just one more major will come your way.
Mm.
One major will come your way. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. And definitely some food for thought. And hopefully it's got you guys thinking ahead of Masters Week, because that's where we're going to leave it there for today's podcast. Thank you very, very much to those of you who are listening and watching. We massively appreciate you. It is one of the biggest weeks of the year, and really with the golfing calendar, as we said last week, no Ryder Cup this week. This week, an open week, our marquee weeks. Open week's going to look a bit different because all being well, we'll be on the ground up there in Liverpool, able to give you as much content as we possibly can. So we're looking forward to that. But it's not about the Open this week. It is about the Masters. And tomorrow is our massive Masters preview podcast. We want as many of you listening and watching as possible. We will do something on social media tomorrow to make it interactive. So we make sure that we include your guys' picks. Those of you following my main account, I've just done my Masters giveaway post. And hopefully you don't look too soon because it's given away who I'm picking. All right, so hopefully don't look too soon, okay? But the one thing in there is that the people that are predicting and putting names in there, we will bring up as many of those names as we can. On top of that, if you have picks of your own, even outsiders, we want to hear from you. We are going to pick winners. We're going to pick outsiders. We're going to pick end of round one leaders. Okay. And we are also going to pick predictions for heater and flop of the week, which could be translated as who sneakily is under the radar for maybe on the way or being on the way to a missed cut. Ben, do you have any names in mind for any of those categories coming up?
A heater. I think I just can't get out of my head. Like J Rose loved the heater at Augusta. J Rose on the heater. Miscut. Bryson DeChambeau.
Okay, okay. So all the more reason for you guys to tune in, because I couldn't disagree more. But all the more reason for you guys to tune in tomorrow to our Masters preview podcast. We are looking forward to it. It's one of the biggest weeks of the year. I am so excited for it, and I cannot wait to sit down after I finish coaching on Thursday, Friday, and maybe Saturday as well. And obviously, of course, Sunday, me and Ben are going to sit there and just watch everything from Augusta National this week. Hopefully, you guys are looking forward to doing the same. Thank you very much for listening to us today. Hopefully, those would you rathers have got your brain thinking. We will catch you tomorrow for our biggest podcast of the year, arguably, and we are really, really keen for it. We will catch you next time. See you then.